Growing Nebraska through livestock, the state's strategy reaches a milestone. Ahead on Grow, how many Nebraska counties are now livestock friendly? And the president calls it relief. Some farmers call it a bailout. We'll have the reaction to the latest on trade. And the familiar sounds of the farm aren't so familiar to these kids. How the deaf are using farming to learn to work. It's time to grow. The president unveils a plan to help farmers caught in the middle of a trade war with $12 billion in relief, and that's our top story. Here's the fine print. USDA will authorize $12 billion in programs, which is what the Ag Department estimates the impact of tariffs have been on U.S. agriculture. First, the Market Facilitation Program will provide payments to producers of soybeans, sorghum, corn, wheat, cotton, dairy, and hogs dealing with market disruptions. Next, AMS will purchase unexpected surplus of affected commodities like fruit, beef, pork, and milk for distribution to food banks. And finally, the USDA will work with the private sector to develop new markets. Farmers have mixed reaction to the plan. We talked with a member of the Corn Board, Jay Reiners of Juniata.
First of all, I want trade, not aid. I guess farmers' livelihoods depend on fair and free trade, and that's generally what pushes grain prices. I think almost the whole ag sector is probably along those lines, because USDA doesn't have enough money to be able to make every single farmer whole, because this goes across the whole sector, from lobsters to corn to soybeans to pork. I mean, the entire livestock industry, fruits and vegetables and nuts, we're all affected by it, retaliatory tariffs.
Senator Deb Fischer, a member of the Senate Ag Committee, responding, saying, quote, "I appreciate the president is recognizing the economic hardship our farmers and ranchers are facing, but I believe we need a solution that provides certainty by protecting and expanding market access for our egg producers." Senator Ben Sasse calls it a bailout, saying farmers would rather have free trade. And it looks like you agree. Looking at our poll question now, the vast majority say you would rather have free trade. About 20% of you say you'll take it depending on the details, but very few of you welcoming this news with open arms. And our new poll question, what do you think President Trump should do on trade? Stay the course and get better deals, or drop the tariffs and move on? Or is there another solution? As always, all votes are anonymous as you follow us on Twitter. Congressman Adrian Smith telling the president to meet with the Chinese president to get a deal done. Smith says, in part, American manufacturers and producers have been harmed by China's unfair trade practices, and these issues must be addressed. The letter acknowledges that China has refused to discuss changes that are needed to establish a trade relationship that's fair to America, but they're confident the president can negotiate an agreement. Meanwhile, Senator Fischer introduced legislation that would allow the sale of E15 year-round nationwide, potentially another way to help farmers. Meanwhile, the governor continues his push to grow Nebraska through livestock, but it comes at a time where there's so much uncertainty by all those trade issues.
Ready, set, go.
Playing cowboy today, saddling up in the future. That's the hope of many farm families at the Polk County Fair who think livestock is key to bringing kids home.
There's a lot of folks doing great work sitting in offices in Lincoln trying to dream up how we can bring people back to the farm, the next generation. But we've been doing that for years at a little slower pace now, but this is what we know here. This is what we're good at here.
Polk County is diverse, home to cattle, hog, and poultry production, now officially recognized as livestock friendly.
We think it's very important that counties say, hey, we want to do value-added agriculture, we want to develop livestock, we're going to create the rules around it so everybody knows what that is, and that's what this livestock friendly designation is all about.
Nebraska enjoys good relationships with buyers in countries like Japan and Mexico.
We don't want to mess that up, and I think the longer we go on and the more saber rattling that goes on as far as trade wars and tariffs go, I don't see the I don't see the wisdom in continuing it on any longer.
These farmers say they'd rather reduce barriers to international trade and have mixed feelings on the president's $12 billion farm relief plan. The governor says the president has considered this step for months as a temporary measure while negotiating new deals.
And what we really need to do is wrap up these trade relationships and these negotiations so that we can make sure we have access to those marketplaces to be able to ship our products overseas.
So today's 4-H'ers can grow up to be livestock producers.
We're going to continue to have room for it to bring the next generation back.
Next, we dig deeper into the tariff issue. And later, deaf youth, those with hearing deficiencies, learn hard work through the farm. Stay with us.